So Dylan, perfectly healthy kid his entire life and is still perfectly healthy. At 12 years old, we started noticing that his chest was indenting and it kept getting further and further indented as he grew. And we talked to his pediatrician about it and he said it's not a big deal, it's very common, it's just cosmetic. A couple years later, maybe when he was around 14, he started getting very self-conscious about it.
Because people stare at me all the time and I just hate it. So I went in to see if I could get it fixed.
Dr. Peter Weirden was the person that would look at his chest and see if it is something that could be fixed. As part of the workup for this chest issue, he had to have an echo, which is an ultrasound of his heart.
I thought I was perfectly healthy and there was nothing really wrong with me at all. And then they told me I have a heart defect. That was sort of mind-blowing. I was like, whoa, I didn't know how to wrap my mind around it.
So the next 2 weeks we just waited, and November 1st he had open heart surgery. I don't think there's anything anyone can tell you as a parent that prepares you to see your child that you saw, 4 hours ago that was perfectly, healthy to be laying in an intensive care unit with, a ton of wires and tubes and his chest and the incision. Nothing can prepare you for that.
Took care of him for a couple of days after his surgery. And kind of hung out, talked about sports teams. Buckeye fan, Pitt fan. I am not, I'm a West Virginia and a Michigan fan. And so I drew on his board at the end of his bed a Michigan symbol and a West Virginia symbol. And I told him that his motivation to get up and walk was to get up and erase the symbols of the rival teams. And I think it worked.
Yeah, it worked.
We don't always get to see, people we work with in a different light, and I followed Dylan from the cardiac intensive care all the way up here. And it was just very nice to see him progress and how well he did progress and see the interaction he had with staff, and it was nice.
I think that being in the hospital is a scary thing for not just adults, but for kids and teenagers. And I like to have a little bit of fun, especially with the teenagers, and I try to make them feel like they're in a comfortable place rather than they're in a hospital.
When you come to a hospital, you just think it's all about the medical part of it, and it's about, healing. I know what great things happen here every day, or knowing that Julie, who was the ICU nurse that took care of Dylan for the first 24 hours. And when I saw him for the first time, I just remember I started to cry. And she knew there was nothing that she could say to make me feel different as a parent. So all she did was gave me a hug. And those kind of things just happened all of the time. A housekeeper came in to clean the room and played Xbox with Dylan for about 5 minutes. Those are the little things that happen that really made a difference. Like, I'll never forget the hug in Julie.